Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for Married to Medicine Season 11, Episode 1, y'all. We back for Season 11. And I think they were calling this Whit-Nick. That's what they was calling it. But we going to retitle it, y'all. we going to retitle it Budget Cuts and Pay Cuts. Because I know they done took a pay cut and a budget cut because I was sitting here trying to find a new thumbnail for my video. Come to find out they didn't even take no new pictures. This is the same picture from season 10. All they do is try to put some new colors in it or something. I don't know. So we definitely got some pay cuts. I was going to call it body cuts and face cuts because according to Dr. Heavenly, she done had a whole BBL. And some of them scenes we saw with the makeup on Dr. Heavenly, I was like, has she had some face cuts too? Because I don't know. I don't know if it's Restylane, Botox, facelift, thermage. She has something going on. So I guess we could call it budget cuts, pay cuts, body cuts, and face cuts. But hopefully she ain't going to be cutting the faces nobody this season because Dr. Contessa's back. So that's why I know they done had to have some pay cuts because they done brought back Dr. Contessa, Quad is back, Phaedra's back, which means Simone, Dr. Jackie, Dr. Heavenly, and Toya, y'all done took a pay cut to make room for these new ladies. Absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously, Dr. Jackie ain't the face of the franchise no more because they barely gave her 2 lines. She was left on the cutting room floor. By the time they chopped up this episode of editing, we barely knew that Dr. Jackie was there. So she definitely ain't the face of the show no more, of the franchise. I don't know. I hope they ain't trying to make it Dr. Simone because she's stubborn. She the only one over here still mad at Quad enough that she can't even don't really want to film with her, ain't inviting her to stuff. Here we go again. How you going to have a show if you not want to invite the other cast member, Dr. Simone? You didn't get the memo from last year? Because I know Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie got the memo because they done gone over there and apologized to Quad and made up for it. But you, the egregious one of all, when he was talking about the death in her family, you still ain't apologized. You must didn't get the memo. You didn't get the memo that if you don't figure out how to get along and feel with each other, then you're not going to be on the show. I don't know, Dr. Simone. You still got to get your boys through college, or maybe one of them, because I know the other one dropped out. One of them dropped out. He ain't going back to college. But the other one, Michael, I think he's still in college. So you might want to keep this job, Dr. Simone. You might want to go on over there and make up with Quad because I don't know how you're going to be on the show when you really don't want to be inviting people to all the extracurricular activities. This don't make no sense. Even when Dr. Contessa came back, it looked like she and Dr. Heavenly gonna hug and try to make up. Like I said, Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly, they all about their money. They about their money. But yeah, when the show came on, all we saw was Dr. Jackie in the office, medical office, asking the young lady how your pregnancy is going. That's good. I hope you have some type of community service, Dr. Jackie, because all the damage you did last year talking about black women be overreacting. I hope you had a community event and gave out some free mammograms or some free medical advice, because you got a whole lot of things to make up for, Dr. Jackie. So they really didn't give her too much camera time. And the only camera time we really saw of Toya was when she and over there, Dr. Eugene, was talking about they not hungry no more because he just ate a lot. And she like, ooh, you so nasty. Y'all, we don't need to see this. That's good. I'm glad y'all having sex again. And obviously it's enjoyable. Good for you. But we really don't need to hear all this. Talking about, are you hungry? No, I'm full already. I ate a lot. Ugh, that's too much information. Way too much information. And then we got a little glimpse of Phaedra in the car with her son, Prince. Is that the Prince? Talking about all their worldly travels. I love to see it, Phaedra. I love that Phaedra exposes her kids to bigger and better things. I love that Phaedra has exposed her kids to the world. You know, I know this show is about Whit-Nick, and this was about poor college students that couldn't afford to go anywhere for spring break or couldn't go home for spring break because they didn't have no money for a plane ticket or they didn't want to go. Phaedra's like, I wasn't there when I was in college, and I'm not going to have my kids there because my kids is going to be traveling the world to Japan, Europe, Paris, France, Asia, Australia. Phaedra said, my kids ain't going to be at no Freaknik, no Whit-Nick or nothing because they going to have money to travel and go somewhere on spring break. But you got Cecil and you got Dr. Simone celebrating their 35 years of college reunion. They said, let's put together this Freaknik, Whit-Nick, they're going to call it. Because it started back at, the HBCU, Spelman and Morehouse. For, she said, kids who didn't want to or couldn't travel from home. And we used to watch it here on the West Coast. We used to watch y'all over there getting wild and loose and crazy. It was a sight to be seen when you was here on the West Coast. As these other schools we go to out here, typically white institutions, private or public. But that will be some wild scenes. I never really wanted to go. I could tell it was too much for me. I wouldn't have fit in. I would not have fit in with no Freaknik, not at all. You wouldn't catch me there. But it was good to watch on the news because y'all made the news every year. Y'all made the news every year. But then we find out Simone ain't even going to invite Quad to the Whit-Nick. What for, Simone? What has Quad done to you? What is so egregious that you couldn't invite Quad to Whit-Nick? A public park, a public picnic, but you can be friends with Heavenly. All the dirt and stuff Heavenly done said and done to you, you somehow found a way to make up with her. But all of a sudden you can't make up with Quad because Quad wouldn't call you enough or invite you to things enough. It don't make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, Simone, because all this anger surrounding around Quad, it really don't add up. But now I got a little glimpse of why I think there could be some anger, because we find out Cecil's really fond of Quad. Cecil is really fond of Quad, and looks like they talk outside of Simone. So maybe that's why she mad. Maybe that's why she mad, because her own husband like Quad. And I'm not talking about no sexual way. He just likes her. He likes her company. He likes her conversation. He likes what she has to talk about. He enjoys it. So you got Cecil over here saying, I don't have no problem with Quad. I like her. And now you got Simone who's like, you're not standing up for me. I don't like you and I don't like her. But Heavenly said she done made up. She and both Dr. Jackie done gone over there and apologized to Quad. I know the producers told him to. I know the producers told Dr. Jackie and Heavenly, listen, we can't have this going on next season. If you do, you may be off the show, because all this bullying that you guys did last season, talking about the OGs, like you, the Bloods and the Crips out here, we're not going to have that this year. So y'all need to go on over there and apologize to Quad. And they went over there and apologized. And this episode, Heavenly going over Quad's house, bringing her some flowers. She done gone from talking about her, kicking her out the show, kicking her out of Mexico or Napa Valley, wherever they went, telling her to go home. And then now she over here bringing some flowers, which is good. Although she dropped that vase going in the house. That's okay, because Quad got enough vases, a vase. That's what she going to call it, a vase. She got enough of those in the house that she can put them flowers there. And it was a nice bouquet, Dr. Heavenly. I'll give it that. I would have thought Dr. Heavenly would have brought some sort of like grocery store flowers, but she did good. She went to a real flower store florist and got a nice bouquet, which was really nice. So she said she turning over a new leaf. And Quad said, I'm going to give you credit, Dr. Heavenly. At least you do some introspection and you figure out what went wrong and you try to correct yourself. Girl, Heavenly ain't correcting herself. Then producers is checking Heavenly, and Heavenly don't want to miss out on no check. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie are all about their money. All about their money. Quad tried to tell her, hey, you know what? I was, me and Dr. Simone, we had made up, but communication fell off and everything. And next thing you know, things was going left over there. But like I said, how are you mad at someone just because they just fell off or stopped talking to you? That ain't the reason for you to be angry. I can see you not being close. But Dr. Heavenly said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry what we said. I'm sorry what we did. It was low down, dirty in the dirt. We all do things wrong, and I've self-reflected, and we've all made mistakes, and I'm here to apologize to you, Quad. Good. I'm glad she did it. And now we just got to get Dr. Simone to do the same thing. But right now, she's stubborn as a rock. Dr. Simone is being stubborn as a rock. And then we got to see a little scene where Leticia was brought back in. I know she got a little pay raise this season. That's why I know all the other ladies had to take a little bit of pay cut because they had to pay for these extra ladies. I know they did. They had to pay for it. And Leticia says she's going to sit over here and learn how to swim. I was disappointed to hear that they haven't had any success with the baby making. I was disappointed to hear that they're still having challenges. I don't know. It's getting kind of close to the time where can't you start going to the next level, artificial insemination or something, when you've been trying for over a year and you've had no success? Because I think that surgery she had for her fibroids and the cyst and everything she had, that has been at least a year. So they need to go ahead and go to the next level because Dr. G ain't getting no younger. He really, you're going to end up being a single mama, Leticia, because Dr. G, he getting close. He getting close to when he ain't even really going to be no help for you because he ain't going to have no energy or nothing to help with no baby. So they might need to go ahead and go to the next level. They got enough money. Don't be cheap. Go ahead and start paying for the services you need. I know you want to do it all natural, but ain't nothing wrong with going over here and start paying for a way for you to have a baby. And she trying to learn how to swim, and you got the swim instructor. The swim instructor is coming over here, Phaedra, in her lifeguard outfit, and her son is going to teach Leticia how to swim. You know, Quad always do things extra. Not Quad, Phaedra always do things extra. Opulence. I like it, though. I like that she brings that opulence to this TV show. She's bringing a little bit of flavor over from, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, because you got Phaedra who wants to bring the opulence. I think Quad likes to do that too, because you're going to get Simone always. She's going to be bringing the Freaknik, the party in the backyard. That's what she's going to bring. So it's nice to have a balance. It's nice to have the party, the Whit-Nick, the Freaknik, and it's nice to all see the opulence and to see the nice, lavish parties. And I think that's the kind of thing you would see between Quad and Phaedra. We need a little bit of that. We really do need a little bit of that. But everybody's trying, this whole episode is really trying to get Simone to be accountable, to be held accountable for what she did. Heavenly, they're trying to get her to be accountable for what she did, especially the stuff going down with her and Leticia. And Heavenly said, let's bring Simone and her husband over to the house. Let's have a nice little catered or chef dinner, the hibachi dinner. That's a nice dinner. We did that last month in October for my sister for her birthday party. It's nice. That was a nice dinner we put on. And it's expensive. It ain't cheap, y'all. So if you ever want to do it, just be prepared. It looks like Heavenly and Dr. Damon went the cheap route. They only invited 2 people. Where's everybody else? Where are all the other couples? Why you only invited Simone and her husband? Where are the other couples? Because you probably didn't want to pay that $150 a head, because that's what it costs. I mean, if you just get the chicken at the hibachi dinner, the chicken with the vegetables and the rice, maybe you pay $80 per person. But if you're getting the chicken, the steak, and the fish, the shrimp, that's $150. $150 a head. So looks like Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon said, we ain't spending all this money, so we only going to invite 2 people. Can you really call it a dinner party when you only invite another couple? No, it's just a couple's date. That's a couple's date. That ain't no dinner party. Forget about it. Forget about it. But at least it was a nice gesture. For once, Dr. Heavenly, I think she was trying to do something nice. So it was good to see. But it was a setup to try to convince Simone to give in a little bit on the whole Quad issue, to, loosen up a little bit, stop holding grudges, not be mad, because her husband ain't mad at Dr. Quad. Nobody else is mad at Quad anymore except her. So she going to need to come around. And I guess she didn't get the memo from the producers. Producers, you might need to send her another memo that says, you can't film if you don't want to film with all the other cast members. What's the point of having you on the show if you don't want to film with people? We might as well get rid of you. We might as well get rid of you. That's why they brought all these other ladies back, because what they're basically telling everybody is, listen, if any of you want to go, you can go. We got enough ladies on this show now who, if you want to go, you can go. So you either going to shape up or ship out. That's the old saying. Shape up or ship out. And if you don't want to shape up, then you can go ahead and ship out. You can go ahead and get to stepping. Get to stepping. Because, Dr. Simone, she was really the one that did the most damage on the reunion, going all into Quad's business, telling all that kind of stuff. She should have never done that. And now she's the one that's the most egregious, but the last one that want to apologize. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. So she goes, well, I did. figure I shouldn't have said, I shouldn't describe the incident the way I did. Well, tell that to her. There you go. Start there with your apology, Dr. Simone. Start there. I don't know. But they decide they're going to have this sort of Freak-Nick party. They calling it Whit-Nick. They got 40 ounces, but they pouring the 40 ounces in a cup. That ain't how you drink no 40 ounce. You're supposed to turn it up. Turn up that 40 ounce and then pour a little bit for the homies too. You're not supposed to be pouring into no solo cup. But anyway, they said, Phaedra said, I wasn't at no Freak-Nick when I was in college. I was, I was a good, wholesome Christian girl. And I was a nice girl. I wasn't here. And everybody else talking about we was studying or we had money to go somewhere else. So the only person who really had come to Freak-Nick, it sounded like, was Simone and Cecil and Dr. Heavenly. I guess they was the only broke ones. Everybody else said we had money to go somewhere. We wasn't here. That's what they telling them. So they said, okay, let's turn up. They brought off the low riders with the hydraulics, all the nice cars. Everything looked good. They got all dressed up. But I don't know, the costumes went a whole nother level because I was like, Freak-Nick wasn't about wearing a bunch of wigs. They all had on these weird wigs. That was the weirdest thing. I was like, this ain't Baps Heavenly. She had on that wig that looked like Baps. I was like, that's not what Freak-Nick was about. Back then, the girls, we just wore the natural hair. We wasn't even trying to be wearing all them wigs and weaves. This was pre-wigs and weaves days. This was just straight old press and curl natural hair like I got going on right here. And your hair be bushy, it'd be everywhere. But that's what it was like. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like back then. So I don't know where they got all these wigs from. That's a whole nother era. That's another era. But the low riders were good to see. I like to see that they did it up with the low riders and the hydraulics. And then we got to see Dr. Contessa came in with her husband, Dr. Scott. He dropped a few bars, a few rap music. Why he rapping? He ain't even no good rapper. Ain't he too old to be rapping? You know what? Let me stop calling people old because I'm old over here doing YouTube videos. So if I could do some YouTube videos, I guess he can rap some songs. But yeah, because I guess I do some bad YouTube videos sometimes. And he definitely, that song wasn't hitting. But did they say it's available on Spotify? You got to be kidding me. It's available on Spotify? I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. But yeah, Dr. Heavenly gave Dr. Contessa a hug. And, Dr. Contessa looking good. She looked really thin, though. I know she's been doing a lot of that bodybuilding, but I hope she ain't losing too much weight. But I was glad to see her back because I like Dr. Contessa. I'm glad all these ladies came back. And I'm really glad they brought back regular ladies as opposed to trying to bring on a new lady. Because a new lady, the OG, the gang would try to gang up on the new lady. That's what they do. The OG, Simone, Toya, Heavenly, they all, Dr. Jackie, they try to gang up on the new lady because they're so afraid of the new lady taking their limelight, taking their spot, or even taking a little bit of their paycheck. So this year, what they did was they stacked the deck. They brought back Quad, Phaedra, and Dr. Contessa to break up this gang they had going on last year. And I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it. I mean, the Whit-Nick was going well. Everything was going really well. And they was all having a good time and drinking and everything. But then they started getting into this whole kerfuffle again over last year's beef, over the fact that, Sweet Tea said that Dr. Damon cheated on Heavenly. And she said, you know what? I never said I said it. I said that you told me that, Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly looked like one of them times when she was throwing back shots with Dr. Sweet Tea. She must have let something slip. Because Sweet Tea said, I'm not saying this out of my own mouth. I'm saying what you told me. This is what you told me. And now all of a sudden, Dr. Damon is mad. Well, I'm going to tell you this, Dr. Damon. This was the first episode where I was looking at you a little side eye because all other seasons, one thing I did was I respected Dr. Damon. I felt like he was the type of person that always wanted to stay out of the mess. He didn't want to get in it. He knew his wife was messy. He didn't want to get in it. He would try to control his wife, but I thought he could have gone a little bit more forcefully with his wife to control her. In a lot of ways, I thought he let Dr. Heavenly do a lot of stuff because the one thing we know about Dr. Heavenly that she says is the only person that can really get her to change her behavior is her husband. And for the most part, we never really saw him doing that with her. We never saw him always trying to really reel her in. He gave her a lot of leash. He let that dog run wild. Let's be honest. Well, now all of a sudden we see Dr. Damon over here chiming up. So I thought this was real interesting that here he is about to get in a beef with Dr. G. And the reason why he's getting in this beef with Dr. G, or he's trying to pretend like he's not in one, but he really is because what he's mad at, according to him, is that Dr. G didn't validate him or give him any cover when Dr. G's wife, Leticia, was saying that he cheated. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Dr. Damon. When your wife is going off on other people, calling other people's husbands cheaters, right? The way she talked about Dr. Contessa, right? You stuck by your wife. You didn't publicly ridicule your wife in public. And what you're asking Dr. G was that when we were in public and your wife was saying one thing, I wanted you to publicly go against your wife and go on my side. That's what Dr. Damon was asking Dr. G to do. Really? That's interesting. So what you were asking him to do was what you wasn't willing to do. You would never go against publicly with Heavenly. Privately, you said you talked to her, right? But publicly, you would never do it. But here you are confronting Dr. G and telling Dr. G, I wanted you to do it publicly. I wanted you to stand up for me because you and I are friends, and I wanted you to go against your own wife. You would never do that, Damon. So why are you asking Dr. G to do it? Because I think there's some truth to what happened. I think that Dr. Heavenly absolutely said those things to Leticia, and she repeated it. And now Heavenly's mad that she repeated it, and so is Dr. Damon. Dr. Damon, what he really should be mad at is his wife, because those lips finally got turned on him. You see, Heavenly has always had a loud mouth and loose lips, but typically she's used it against other people. But now those loose lips and that loud mouth put her own husband in a trick bag. Now, I don't know how much of the story is true, but there is some truth to it, because if there was no truth to it, I don't believe Dr. Damon would be this upset. Because Dr. Damon in the past has been the guy that when he hears ridiculous stuff that's egregious, that's not true, he lets it go. He walks away. He don't get in the mess. But the fact that he's coming up here to Dr. G, getting in the mess, tells me that there's some truth to it. There's some truth to it. And really who he needs to be mad at is his wife. That's why I think for a minute, Dr. Heavenly got off YouTube, because I think they had some issues going on at home. And what Dr. Damon got mad at is your mouth is now getting me in trouble and putting my business out there. And I don't want you to do that. I see she back. I think she still got her show going on this season. We'll see. We'll see how she tampers it down, because there's a part of me that thinks that some of this stuff that Dr. Heavenly was doing last season backfired on her. It backfired with the producers, because I think they reined her in a little bit. They backfired on their money, because I think all these ladies, these OGs, I think they all took a pay cut. I absolutely do. I think they all took a pay cut. And then I think it backfired with Dr. Damon, because I think Dr. Damon wasn't too happy that part of his business was put out there in the streets. I don't think he was happy about it whatsoever. But Dr. Damon lost a few cool points in my eyes. Dr. Damon lost a few cool points in my eyes when he went over there to Dr. G and told Dr. G, I want you to validate me, but not validate your wife. I didn't like it. And then right then, his wife told Dr. G, you need to watch your wife. And then what did Dr. Damon do? Nothing. Nothing. Didn't say nothing to Heavenly, but then steadily sitting over here telling Dr. G to watch his wife. Nah, Dr. Damon, you done lost a few cool points with me. Absolutely. This season, I'm going to keep my eye on you, Dr. Damon. I'm going to see where you go from here. Because if you keep digging into Leticia and Dr. G, I'm going to really know there's some truth to it. I'm going to really know there's some truth to it. Because if you can't let it go, that's going to tell me that there's some truth to it. But I didn't like what he did. And like I said, I've always been a fan of Dr. Damon. But this episode, I got my eyes on you. I got my eyes on you. That's all we got, y'all. That's all we got right now. I will catch y'all later for episode 2. Bye.